calendar for that. Today, after the service, there will be an informational meeting for new members or friends who are considering becoming members. So stay around for that, and some hot coffee and tea. Our able treasurer, Carissa Moore, reminds me that budget requests for the upcoming fiscal year have gone out to committee chairs, and she needs to have those requests returned by March 17th. That's a hard deadline, she says, so we better stick to it. Oh, and finally, some good news. So the roofers finished midweek before Thursday's heavy rain. Several of us did a walk-around inspection on Friday morning, and we didn't find a so, all right. It may be cool in here, but at least it's dry. All right, so with that, we're going to begin our service with our worship associate for today, and my neighbor, Julie Steinbach.
Or your minister, Reverend Maggie. Thank you, David. Thank you so much. It is our tradition to open our service with the ringing of the bowl, but before we do that, it is also our tradition on the first Sunday of the month to celebrate all of the birthdays that are coming this month. So who has a February birthday? Carissa, Maribel, Jim,
Yours is in July.
Paul, and Jared. Wonderful, wonderful. So great to have you all here. So let's all sing, and instead of squeezing all those names in, let's just sing a lot of syllables. February birthdays in the name. Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Happy birthday to you. And you win. Yay, yay. When we gather, we begin our service by sounding the bowl 3 times, honoring yesterday, celebrating today, and waiting tomorrow. Welcome to our Calapayan Partnership service. I'd like to invite Jim Craig up to light our chalices. Jim was one of the 3 of us that journeyed to the Philippines in July. A wonderful time together, full of memorable moments, life-changing experience. But our words for the chalice lighting today come from Donnie Boy Hino, who wrote the global chalice lighting that was shared by the UUPCC. Donnie Boy wrote, "I believe in sacred energy, the source of all creation. I believe in our limitless power, the mystery of being a human. I'm hoping for the guidance of the mystery to discover my fears, my doubts, and joys, so that my fears become my strength, that the darkness becomes my light, and that our greatest failure becomes our greatest achievement. Because as human beings, everything that happens comes with a choice to mold and strengthen our personalities. As our journey moves to the next level, may our choices bless our mind and heart to love and respect all existence in this world. Amen." I invite you to stand. We'll try to do a lot of cardio today to keep ourselves warm. But I invite you to stand as we sing our invocation, Spirit of Life. We'll sing it through twice, first in English and then in Spanish. The words will be on the screen. let's recite together our congregational covenant. The words are on the screen, but also in your take-home order of service. We affirm
Love is the greatest purpose of this congregation. The search for truth is our constant star, and service is our prayer. We pledge our hearts, minds, and hands to challenge injustice with courage, to make choices for a healthier planet, and to live out our Unitarian Universalist values every day as a beloved community. Thus do we covenant with each other and with all that is sacred in life.
And now our congregational song, that is the insert in your order of service. The words might not be on the screen. Ah! Well, do you want to help me guide this one? You want to play it through first, and then you can sing. Thank you. A couple bold statements there. I like that. Okay, just sing them. It's somehow easier. Thank you, thank you.
Part of it, so.
It is time for our wisdom tale. And I'd like to invite Dr. Tidwell up. He's our Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration. And he found a really good story for us today. Howard?
Okay, here we go.
Good morning, everybody. Today's story is called Someone Builds the Dream, and it's by Lisa Wheeler and Lauren Long.
Somebody builds the dream.
An architect creates space. He'll draw, redraw, measure. A woodsy, warm, and peaceful place. But someone works to guide the saws, plane the logs, lead the team.
Your mic went off. Oh, all the power went out.
Okay, we're still zooming. Go ahead.
Okay.
Speak louder.
Yeah. Okay.
You sign?
That thing went out.
I'll check this room.
Someone needs
Your
to pound the
fireplace
nails,
went out
and
too.
someone has to build the dream. To engineer a bridge takes skill. Math and science fit that bill, and I-beams order from the mill. But someone works to mine the ore, smelt the iron, and pour the beam. Someone needs to weld the steel. Someone has to build the dream. An artist will make a stunning plan, a masterpiece from mind to hand, a fountain both unique and grand. But someone works to dig the trench, lay the drains and solder seams. Someone needs to plumb the pipes. Someone has to build the dream. Yeah. A scientist earns a degree in physics and ecology. He aims toward cleaner energy. But someone has to work to tighten bolts, steer the crane and drive machines. Someone needs to raise the tower. Someone has to build the dream. Park designers sketch with pride, amusements and amazing rides, and sights to keep you mystified. But someone works to run the wires, light the lights, and make them gleam. Someone needs to bury cables. Someone has to build the dream. An author thought up something new. The illustrator planned and drew this to make this book for kids like you. But someone worked to set the text, run the press, and load the reams. Someone had to make this book. Someone had to build this dream. All across the great big world, there's lots of work to do. It takes a team to build a dream, a skilled, hard-working crew. So when you see a bicycle, a playground, a house, or shoe, remember all the someones who helped to make that dream come true. And now, if the kids can come up and get our challenge, we have a few of you in here, and we'll go down to our classrooms, and we'll dream of big dreams.
Having a challenging day, but look at all the smiles. We just keep smiling. Just keep do what we need to do. Unplug, replug, push reset. Yeah, we'll do this. As a spiritual community whose good stewardship is a second nature and whose generosity is always first response, we have chosen to live out our undesignated offerings and splitting them 50-50 with a local charity. It doesn't get more local than our own Calapayan partnership. For the month of January, our Share the Plate offerings will be shared with our own Calapayan partnership.
February.
It says January in this. Someone's getting fired. Thank you. February. That's what happens when you only change the name. So, thank you. It's going with the day, you know. But I'd like to invite Maribaldina to talk to us a little bit about what the partnership means to her and to us as a congregation. Maribel?
Good morning. Is this loud enough or too much? Okay. All right. Thank you. I was lucky enough to learn about Calapayan via Julie Steinbach, my buddy here. And I went with her in March and April of 2015 to Calapayan and the Philippines. And what I remember most about the first day was that sunrise exploded in yellow, pink, and orange slashes over the Bohol Sea, which lay east of the city we were in, Dumaguete. A fishing trawler crawled past the rising sun. After breakfast on our hotel roof, Julie and I began the slow journey by van to Calapayan, our Monte Vista partner church on the west side of Negros Island, near the little village of Hinobaan. Now, between 2007 and 2010, Monte Vista was one of many UU congregations developing ties with struggling communities across the globe. Our member, Jackie Albay, a Filipina herself, seemed thrilled to lead this charge along with her family. Julie had accompanied them on her first journey to Calapayan in 2010. In these first years, partner churches built connections through projects involving transfers of funds and support of pilgrimage to these new partners. And between 2008 and 2014, 4 Philippine leaders made visits to Monte Vista and stood here in this pulpit and addressed us. Monte Vista's first project was to fund a pathway for the residents of Calapayan to more quickly reach the coast and their schools and other offerings of the village of Hinobaan. Originally, they had to climb down into a steep ravine or walk long distances around it. And that ravine had been cut by many, we lost the sound again. Somebody registering an opinion?
All is well. Just keep smiling.
Okay. Anyway, believe us, it's a very steep, rocky road.
Yeah.
And it's really tough in the extra humidity of the West Coast. So we also fundraise for the education of their children, repairs to the church after typhoons, and yearly shipment of Calapayan boxes filled with clothing, medicine, shoes, books, canned goods, and toys. Since 2010, Monte Vista has raised money for school tuition via our members' sponsorships of Calapayan children. So we learn who they are by name, and along the way we see their photographs. In 2023, 15 Monte Vista members sponsored 19 students in elementary and high schools. The total raised was $3,000. And the annual Calapayan collection, which this month we're collecting in February, was enough to fund even more students to go to school. This year, the Justice Coordinating Committee has chosen our partner church, Calapayan Families, for the February Share the Plate collection. Every week this month, you can share the blessings of your education with those in great need. On the last day of our trip, Julie and I swam in the western Sulu Sea by Hinobaan, below the steep hills of Calapayan. Invited to a birthday party, the families came and played in the sand and the waves, wearing the t-shirts and carrying toys and blankets from the Calapayan boxes. And suddenly I realized that the whole western sky was a pink fog in the mist as the sun sank into the horizon, and the entire ocean was a pink fog. The entire People were washed in the rosy pink of evening. I had never seen such a phenomenon. I hoped then, and hope now, that Monte Vista can help Calapayan preserve a future as rosy as that amazing sky.
Thank you. And with gratitude for each and every one of the gifts of time, talent, and treasure that each of you bring to our community, I invite you to come forward with your generous offerings, and our offering will now be gratefully received and given. Thank you. Your music is always such good medicine. Thank you so much. Thank you. One of our traditions here at Monte Vista is to continue the exchange of notes from our lives, our joys and sorrows, our smiles and our sighs, as we say. There aren't any little slips of paper in the basket today, so those of you who are here are always invited to write something down that you want announced for others. We know that our hearts are all full of either requests for prayers or outgoing prayers for others that we're carrying in our hearts. But I do have one that I received on a text yesterday because someone among us, one of our own beloveds, Jimmy Grissom, was texting me from Loma Linda because his ankle had been sore and swollen and it was becoming red. So he went there with his friend Fritz, and they spent 12 hours finding out that there was something that happened in that bus accident he was in on Wednesday, that he thought he was fine, but his ankle was broken. Yeah, there was a bus accident the Wednesday before. So, yeah, we really thought he was okay, but he's got a little bit of recovery coming his way. So, Jimmy, we're all plugging for you. We're keeping you in our prayers, and we will be cheering on your healing. And look forward to the next time you do 100 steps. Yeah. Our prayer and meditation is usually something that I write specifically for you, or there's something that I find that I go, ooh, let me share this with the congregation, a poem of some kind. But today, I have something a little more special that fits today's service. I sent a text to my now friend, and colleague, Michelle Kino. She's in the Ministerial Formation Program in Dumaguete. So she travels all those miles from Calapayan to go to Dumaguete for training to become a minister. So bless her, and that is a prayer of ours for her success there. But she wrote this prayer specifically for us, and I invite you to join me in a spirit of prayer as I read her words. Spirit of life, we express gratitude on this occasion, and we share our prayers with our partners at the Monte Vista congregation. We unite as partners in faith. As Unitarian Universalists, we are one, we are free. As partners in this faith, we share in our congregations and the strength of our spirits as we continue our journeys. We pray that our needs to connect and our love for one another flow abundantly over the miles between us in our service to one another and to the world. I pray for the well-being of our congregations, especially for our partners at Monte Vista in California, USA. May we enjoy a healthy unity in our thoughts, a sharing of our love, and a cooperation for the church's prosperity. May our communication as partners continue and our collaboration be fruitful. We are your grateful partners, the Calapayan congregation, thankful for this partnership with a compassionate heart and a beautiful mindset for prosperity. May our spirits unite us each time we come together for Sunday services, and bless our mind and hearts with good deeds in serving you, our partners of the heart. May God be with us all, and may love keep our minds and hearts connected forever. Amen. With love, the Calapayan congregation. Beautiful. Our gentle song today is one that I chose specifically because it opens up our hearts a little bit to have compassion for other people. It's a short and beautiful, tender chorus. I remember crying a little bit the first time I sang it with my fellowship in Morristown, New Jersey. It was a healing and comforting and exactly what I needed to hear at a very tender time in my life. So, show of hands, is anyone having a tender time in their life? All of us, I think. So let's sing together, How Could Anyone? We're going to sing it through 3 times, please. And once we'll remember how it goes. Then I invite you to sing it to someone next to you. And then on the 3rd time through, please sing it to yourselves. Lily?
Good morning. I have the great joy and privilege to introduce 2 things this morning, 2 special contributions to Monte Vista. The first is a mosaic plaque that was created out of the broken shells, the Calapayan chalice that went out with the children, that was made for us by the Calapayan children with coconut shells years ago, somehow broke at some point. And I saved the bottom of the shells and encountered a woman who is in Pomona, who is a mosaic maker. She takes broken china and makes wonderful pieces of art. Gail Sorensen, she's also the president of the board of the Pedersen Museum at Pilgrim Place, and she created this for us, so it will be in our hallway, and this was a great time to introduce it to the congregation, our new Calapayan mosaic plaque. And the other great joy is the introduction of my friend, not exactly a thing, sorry Debra, to the contribution to our service this morning. Some of you may remember that she spoke last year on Zoom about her passion about climate change. And that passion was instigated and inspired by her 10 years in the Philippines, starting with a Peace Corps gig when she was in her early 50s in 2010. And then she stayed. And she was a UU before she went to the Philippines in the Redwood City congregation. But during her 10 years there, she was on the island of Palawan, which is the westernmost island of the archipelago, and there aren't any Unitarians there. She had no clue that there were the Unitarians in Manila or on Negros. Nonetheless, she has become involved with the International Council of UU Women, and she is now on their board, and she has, more relevantly to us right now, is that she has recently completed a memoir about her time in the Philippines in the Peace Corps, called Vipers and Geckos, Defining Friend, Foe, and Truth in an Alien Land. She's in the middle of a book launch. The book will be officially launched on International Women's Day, March 8th, and she is here, and she asked me to be one of the first readers, and I read an early draft and gave a few pieces of feedback, and then more recently when her final draft was completed, I read it again and was blown away by how much I learned about the Philippine culture that I hadn't known from my 10-15 years of engagement with our partnership here. So it was really an in-depth lesson to me about Philippine culture and life, and more importantly about the work that she did while she was there. And I asked her to speak today about some of those issues. I believe everybody here who's engaged with the Philippines can learn so much from that, and that can actually enhance our relationship, our partnership with the Philippines. So Debra will read a couple sections from her book that will be coming out in March. Debra Pritchard from Avila Beach.
Magandang umaga sa inyong lahat at maligayang Domingo, which means hello to all of you and happy Sunday. I am not dressed the way it's supposed to work. One, I am gigante in Filipino lore. I'm huge. I'm 2 Filipinas. So this malong does not fit me quite appropriately. And they never wear a wool sweater with it. So, but I did try to, bring some necklaces from the Philippines and show you. It's a very bright culture, and my heart is on Palawan, where I spent 10 years. Julie has told me about Dumaguete. I've been to Dumaguete. I've been all over the Philippines because when I stayed, I worked for, it's called Palawan Pawn Shop. Pawn Shop and money lending is their financial structure there. And so I worked with them for 8 years and got to visit all over the country. So I know all the cultures. There are 106 languages in the Philippines, and there are 7,600 islands at high tide. At low tide, there's a few more.
Yeah.
But on Palawan, there are over 1,000 islands surrounding it. So you have all these islands, and it's really a tribal nation where each little island has its chieftains and kind of don't like the other islands. That's how it started. So each island has its own culture, has its own language, and then they try to unite it with the Tagalog language. But in Cebu, Cebuanos hate Tagalog, and they will not speak it. So they speak Cebuano and English. It's really fascinating, the whole culture. But I brought this book, if you want to, it's called East Meets West. And to me, this encapsulates everything. And this woman is an artist. So you will see, this is Western culture, me. This is Filipino culture, Southeast Asian. Me is very small. It's the whole of everyone else. And even the language where we say me, I, you, he, the subject, theirs is the object. How do I affect someone? So even in their language, it's a whole different system. And it's really hard for Americans to go and really immerse themselves. I stuck my foot in my mouth so many times. And my next book is going to be about doing business in the Philippines, because if you stick your foot in your mouth, you really mess up your business deals. So it's really, really interesting. So I'm just going to read you a chapter. I was assigned, I have a special ed degree, and they sent me to this school where they had special children. They call them special children. And it was very hard. There were no pediatricians on the island. There were no developmental pediatricians to diagnose these kids. So here I am with my special ed master's degree going, they should have sent a high school student for as much as I did. A high school student with a smile would have done better than I did. But it was an experience, like they say in the Peace Corps a lot, you get more out of the experience. You think you're going to help them, you get more out of it. So it totally changed my life. I thought I was liberal. Now my only morals are, is it working for you? And are you hurting anyone else? Who am I to tell you what to do? So here's my little blurb about my daily life at the school. Every weekday around 7:30 a.m., the school's bird egg blue multicab fetched me before transporting the better behaved special children to the school. We picked up 10 students every morning at their homes. It was an hour-long rough ride over back roads of dirt and rocks and views of gated homes and squalid shacks where the children lived. A bruising drive that scraped my old body, but also fun, breezing along with the wind whipping my wet hair to dry in the heat. We meandered through neighborhoods that I didn't know, and I could observe parents and yayas, who are their nannies, interacting with their youngsters. The children we picked up were the more communicative, and their chatter and laughter were infectious. We always rolled into school smiling. Someone had donated the bird egg blue van to Pastor and the school when it was faded and already on its last legs. Holes had rusted through the metal floor so that you had to watch where you stepped. On rainy days, we arrived wet from the leaks in the roof, from the windows that didn't close, and the splatter through those rusty holes from the road below. As with most multi-cabs, the plank seats were coated in plastic tarps from old political elections or sales promotions. Metaphorically, sitting on faces of politicians who promised better times, or beauty contestants promising eternal glamour, was cathartic. Paper posters didn't last long in the humid and rainy weather, and candidates were glad to have the additional free advertising. Even if they lost this election, there was always the next time, and most leaders were elected just on name recognition. P.T. Barnum was right about there being no such thing as negative publicity. The Marcus family knew this well. Ousted, exiled in 1986, they caused the most significant public protest ever in the Philippines, the People Power Revolution. All the locals laughed when they told me at election time, Filipinos have such short memories. It didn't seem that funny to me. By the time I lived on Palawan, 25 years after the People Revolution, Imelda of Shoe fame had returned and was elected senator. Her son, Bongbong, was congressman, and daughter, Aimee, was a representative. Short memories indeed. Bongbong would eventually reclaim Malacanang as the country's second President Marcos. Not that name recognition victories were unique to the Philippines. I mean, think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, Ronald Reagan, Brigitte Bardot, and Vladimir Zelensky. Some turned out better than others. As happy as the politicians were to have the free advertising, the school was glad to have the seat coverings in the van itself. With the van's frequent breakdowns, the driver was often forced to use his personal tricycle, and he had to make multiple trips to pick up the load, since trikes usually fit maybe 5 people, but not our truck. That vision of 8 children sitting on the trike in each other's laps, happily hanging on for dear life, is an indelible memory. And I have so many indelible memories, so I'll just show you. This is the cover of the book, and the funny thing was there were vipers from the Peace Corps that got me in the back too. So, but those friendly geckos really got me through, and so far people are liking it. It's my first book, so it's, what do they call that? Imposter syndrome, where you don't really know. But it's been really great writing the book and having people read it. Thank you for inviting me to this lovely church. I love this, and your pianist, oh my gosh. My mother sent me to piano lessons. she would love if I could play more than I can play. Thank you. Salamat.
So I neglected to mention that Deb will be hanging out a little bit after service to talk to anyone who's interested in learning more about her book or her time in the Philippines. She does live, like I said, in Avila Beach, so she's going to be eager to get on the road to try to miss the monsoons or whatever. Anyway, she's here and interested and willing to talk to anyone. So we are now going to look at some pictures from our summer sojourn when Jaryus gets them up on the, there we go, okay, great. Okay, so as I was have presented before, this bumper sticker from the Partner Church Council on the motto for some years, the most radical thing we can do is to introduce people to one another. As I was looking through my pictures, I realized that we experienced this summer and in the past 15 years, not just a relationship with the one congregation of Calapayan, but it's actually a relationship with the whole UU Church of the Philippines. We visited, as you will see, 5 other groups, congregations in different places. Of course, our focus is Calapayan, but because of the intricate connections of all these congregations and families, kind of the way Deb described, it's really a family world, and people are born into Unitarianism, as opposed to finding it the way so many of us do here. So it's really an extended family operation. So relationship is all, here we go. First slide, Jaryus, thank you. And in the Manila airport, Maggie and Jim and I landed, and you'll see on the conveyor belts the valid buy-in boxes that oftentimes, usually every year, we send 4 to 5 of these boxes. Well, sometimes people actually take them on the planes, or as checked luggage. So you'll see that we've used that company, ALAS. And this year we chose to take bags. Everybody packed up, and we took it as our second piece of luggage. So that's what you see there with Jim and Maggie at the airport. Jaryus, next one. Our first congregation that we visited there in Manila is the Urban Manila Congregation Bikutan. And Jim was greeted at the door. It's kind of a garage kind of structure that they meet in, with a traditional greeting of youngers to elders. It's called mano po. The hand to the forehead. Po is the sign of respect. And there's the congregation happy to be with us. This is a weekday. They all came from the neighborhood, including the dogs. Next one. Who all hang out together. And of course, there's always a group picture taken of everybody. And there's the sign and the garage kind of structure that they meet in for 15 or so years already. Next. And then we spent a day going out to further out in the province of Rizal from Manila, about an hour and a half's drive. Bob Guerrero on the bottom left there is, we think of him, our man in Manila. He's a professional sportscaster, but he's raised in a middle-class family, and he's really a leader of a stalwart supporter and leader of the urban congregation. And he drove us out to another new Unitarian retreat center, the Center for Organizing Renewal and Leadership, led by an American Filipino minister, Joseph Santos Lyons, who retired from Oregon community ministry and moved to Philippines with his wife, and has established this retreat center in a gorgeous spot. Next. Here we are. Then we fly 1 hour, a short flight from Manila to Dumaguete on Cebu Air, landing again with our Balikbayan bags, picked up by the driver, the taxi driver. Next. And then we head directly to the headquarters of the UU Church of the Philippines. We're met by Armand Pedro, the administrator. There's a peace pole there. We have a peace pole out here, including with peace in Tagalog. On ours as well, we changed it some years ago, and the brick structure is actually a little gravestone marker of the ashes of the founder of the Church of the Philippines, Toribio Comada, and his wife. That's new since we were last there. And you'll see that the sign is God is love. The Church of the Philippines has 8 principles, not just 7. And the first one is God is love. And salvation is for all people. That's the Universalist call. That was the basic origins of Toribio Comada's founding the church in 1955. Speaking of seeing Armand, that reminds me that yesterday I had cause to have a little email exchange with him and about the students' list of who had received the payments at the end of the school year. And I almost wrote back and said, we're doing this service tomorrow, maybe you guys want to zoom in, and then I looked it up, it's 3 o'clock in the morning there. So, not too likely, I didn't. Next, Jaryus. And of course, there's always a welcome feast with the staff. Next. And then before, we carried with us the idea of spending $500. The Social Justice Committee had authorized an extra $500 to, rather than carry stuff, to buy stuff there that we could, that would probably be cheaper there, of toiletries and over-the-counter meds. So a UU from Colorado who's settled there and is living in the dormitory apartment complex at the headquarters. Calvin Yost has a car, so he took us shopping and really helped us find the best stores to find all these different things that we were able to spend almost $500 on. Makes me think I'm not sure I've turned in the receipts for those. Okay, and then on the drive to Calapayan, which is a 4-hour drive from Dumaguete, we traditionally stopped at several of the congregations along the way. And the first one we stopped at was the Nagdinglad, where again they welcomed us. Are always happy to see visitors. I mean, they really love seeing us come there. It feels like we're honored guests and that they're privileged that we visit them. It's almost overwhelming. Next. And the second congregation that we stop at is Kaiken, which is partnered with Honolulu, and it's particularly distinctive because it's literally right on the ocean's edge. And there's a seawall that often gets blown down by typhoons. And Honolulu, as its partner, has periodically sent a bunch of money to help them fix the seawall. So this is the congregation. You'll see that the architecture of the chapels are very, very similar one to another. There's not the distinction as we experience here in the United States. Next. And then inside the congregation here, you see again, and when I say village, many of the families live very close. It's almost like a compound, and they come in droves to welcome us and sing with us and be happy that we're there. Next. Okay, now we're actually on the way to Calapayan and we're loading up to go. And Hinobaan is where we're staying. And the congregation members come from the top of the hill where some of them live, and the village, the barangay, San Rafael, and to help carry things as far as they can be carried on vehicles, or as you see on their shoulders. The large black bag that the middle young man is carrying is a keyboard that was donated. So this is the beginning of our hike, loading up. Next. And here we are going through the river, over the river and through the woods almost. So this is definitely through the river. The river was the highest of this is the 5th time I've made that hike. This is the highest it's been. There was quite a lot of rain. And you'll see Jim made the great good sense decision on his part to not go. But Maggie and I slept on forward with a lot of help from our friends. Next. And here we are finally at the chapel itself, our minister, Reverend Samuel Hino, with the youth leaders. I do need to comment that, or I want to comment that Clarissa Cabarita, the first time I was there in 2010, she was 3 years old. So seeing her grow up to this lovely young woman is just really quite a delight. And Marge Giacosa is also a young woman that we've seen grow up and develop. She's now 28. She was 22 the last time we were 21, 22 the last time we were there, and just graduating from college. And she comes back from Dumageddon at least once, if not twice a month, which is a 4-hour schlep on a bus to help out with the congregation. I mean, the young adults are really committed to carrying on and being connected with their congregation. Next. And here we had every one of the children got up and either read from their phone or the little girl, there were 2 of them, she's a granddaughter of the minister, to give special thanks for the student support that they've received over the years. It really has made a difference for them. And on the right there is Michelle Hino, whom we heard her words. She lit the chalice, and she is our partnership contact now. And Maggie has a wonderful new connection, relationship with Michelle. Next. And then the Calapayan bags that were taken up after the service, they got to open them and divide them up and decide who's going to be able to use what. They're very organized about that. Next. Oh, and Jonathan Pato had fallen from a coconut tree in 2016 and broke several limbs, including his leg. And they sent pictures of him all bundled up, all bandaged up, and we sent some money for his medical care. So he's showing off how he's healed very well, thanks to our help. Next. And then there's always the coconut palms around here that produce some wonderful coconut juice. And Ronaldo shimmied up that tree, brought down a coconut, cut it off for Reverend Maggie, whom he calls our Reverend Long Nose, because Philippine noses are a little bit usually shorter, so it's easier to drink from the coconut. But we had a bit of a challenge with that, but it was fun and really tasty. Next. And then of course there's always a feast for us. And we were there for a Sunday service. Next. And then going back down the hill, just to show you the chapel itself. It's been painted since one of the typhoon damages, and the sense of joy and love they always dispatch us with. And the middle picture there at the bottom shows, they're trying to point out to us the mango tree that Jackie Alby had planted when we were first there in 2010. It kind of got destroyed by one of the typhoons, but they planted another one. So that's their designated Monte Vista mango tree. Next. And then we're staying at a place called Brazzaville Beach Resort. We've stayed there a number of times, right on the water in Hinobaan. And the members who came with us in the van, LB and JR and Reverend Hector, seen on the left-hand side of the table there, came with us. They were our tour guides. Again, they traveled with us. They support us as family. And they were there with us at Brazzaville Beach Resort those several days that we were there. So that's breakfast. Next. And Ricky, our driver, and then the beach part. The families all, congregation all come down from Calapayan, from San Rafael for a party at the beach. It was quite a bit of there was actually a semi-typhoon while we were there. And so the beach was very, the water was very roiled up, and it was too dangerous for me to, I'm a swimmer, but I didn't go in the water this time. But the children managed to enjoy it as well. So that's the setting, right, at Brownsville Beach Resort. Next. And then they bring another feast for us. Next. And the guys, like I said, beach boys, they love to play and drink. Next. And the t-shirts, I'm wearing one of the t-shirts that they had made back in 2015 as a fundraiser for the young adult group. And each t-shirt has on the back, I'm showing you at least a simplified version of one of the principles. So her search for what is true. What does mine say, Jackie?
Justice, equity, and compassion in human relations.
Right, so I chose the social justice one. So that's, and this is the family, the lineage being passed down. Elisa is also a leader in the congregation. Her father's the minister. Next. And then this was a special picture because, special visit, a bit of a surprise, because Edna Jurland, who was our first student who graduated from college in 2015, Maribel and I went for her graduation. She is now working in Saudi Arabia as a cleaner in a hospital, because that's the economic reality of so many of these families. She can make more money doing that, sending money back to her husband and children than he can in the jobs that are available to him. So she's on a 2-year contract. She'll be moving back in March. We haven't heard whether or not she'll be renewing contract, but her husband and her 2 daughters came to visit us, came to the beach just to see us. They're not part of Calapayan anymore. They're in another community, Popova. But the elder daughter, Sheena May, was 1 year old when Maribel and I were there. We were there for her birthday on April 1st, so it was quite a treat to see these little girls. And I particularly love those little pink shoes of the younger girl. Next. And then here we are saying goodbye to them all. Dante Caparita is the clown of the group who had a special moment there with our gym. Next. And this is the way they travel. Deb used the term tricycle. A tricycle is not the children's tricycle we think of here. The tricycle is a 3-wheeled motorcycle, basically, with a top, as you see here. And hobble hobble is the term used for motorcycles. Next. And back in Dumaguete, again, talking about relationship. There's a couple at Pilgrim Place, Rachel and Sid Silliman. Rachel is from Dumaguete. Her family, and she had us all over for a special dinner before we went. Rachel and Sid spoke at one of our services, I think 2 years ago here. And Rachel arranged for her family, her brother and sister-in-law, to come and take us on a day-long trip touring there in Dumaguete, and lunch, and halo halo is the famous Filipino dessert. Next. And then another moment of relationship is Reverend Nihal Ataniaki is no longer directly involved with the Church of the Philippines. He lives on the island of Camotes off Cebu now, but he still keeps in touch. His family's in Dumaguete. He came from 2 islands away to be able to see us. He spoke here at Monte Vista. He was instrumental in setting up our partnership. He's still connected. You know, there's this lifelong heart connection, actually. And then the last, and one more picture of a special relationship. Jaryus. Reverend Rebecca Sienas had a stroke a couple of years ago. She's living with her
son and daughter-in-law in Dumaguete, has one of the staff members living there as a caretaker. And everybody who goes to the Philippines goes on almost like a pilgrimage to visit Rebecca, because it was her father who founded the Church of the Philippines in 1955. He was assassinated in 1988 for his labor rights activism, land rights activism, and she took over the church. She was in her early 30s at the time, went to Meadville, Lombard, became a minister, and was the longtime president of the church. So we always go and honor Rebecca. Next. And the last picture is the picture that I found on their Facebook page after our visit. We're all happy here in the Calapayan congregation. We're grateful to our partners from Monte Vista. They're sending us off, always, with love. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie, that was great. That was good for me too. It was 12:30 p.m. on Sunday, June 17th, 2007, when the voting members of this congregation gathered in their annual meeting. The meeting was called to order at 12:25 on that day, 17 years ago, by then President David Adams. The agenda for the meeting revealed several important goals: to elect their officers, to adopt their budget, and to vote on full partnership with the Calapayan UU Church of the Philippines. The minutes of that meeting, as recorded by our beloved friend and ancestor now, Nancy Rutherford, read, "The show of hands vote was all in favor, none against." And so began our organic, living, transforming relationship as partners with the Calapayan congregation, now nearing the end of its second decade. So let us reflect just a bit on what it means to be in a partnership, to be a partner, to partner with. Researching the etymology of the word partnership, or partner on Google, provides you a little graph of the usage over time, with a sharp spike around 2000. And it's an interesting bit for me to notice that the use of the word partnership saw an equally steep decline after a short time, but the word partner remains as a plateau. So we can be curious about what that tells us. Perhaps now we speak of contractual connections and the business end of a partnership less than we did a decade ago, but we continue to value that identity of those that we see as our partner. And maybe you too have witnessed an increase in the use of the term partner. It's used to choose, to describe someone that we choose to share our life with. Relationship is essential to partnership. George and I agree that we are life partners, but we tend to refer to each other still as husband and wife. If we had chosen to share our lives without the marriage ceremony that we celebrated 10 years ago, I wonder about the ways that we might name each other differently. Maybe just, I'm a bit more fond of being seen as someone in a relationship partner than someone who is a doting or loving wife, maybe. But that needs more unfolding on my own time. But marriage or not, the role in the title of partner does exude a sense of attachment, with perhaps an assignment of roles, alongside a promise of an aligned dedication and a goal of a deeper bonding. But however we become a partner, and no matter the setting that we enter into a partnership, we make a commitment that requires tending. Maybe it's a tending that simply offers financial support. Maybe you are a partner with Sierra Club or even the UUSC. Maybe the tending that we offer is a promise to care for one another in a deeper type of relationship. Or perhaps that tending is all about being there for one another through any type of crisis.
Yes, there are many ways that we tend to the partners that we hold dear. And we know that partnering requires engagement. Yet we do well to ask, is there anything that makes us more alive than to be engaged and connected with others? Or do we prefer to keep our hearts in storage, bubble wrapped, boxed up, and stashed away for safekeeping for another time? Let's say no. Let's be partners. Because partnering holds a sense of belonging to one another. A healthy partnership is kept strong by an understanding and respect for what each other brings. There's a shared vision of what each requires, and the way is open to leave sufficient room and regard for all cultural differences. An open communication of what each of the partners expects. But there's an active honoring of every partner's identity. There's a joy, an aspiration, and a sense of satisfaction that comes from the tending of the potential for growth of all of our partners. The invisible treasures that each of them bring, and the spirit of life that flows within those that we touch through our connections as partners. Good partners live out a celebration of each other, and we celebrate their sacred worth and dignity. The partnership that we have had with the Calapayan congregation of the UUCP has grown into this kind of relationship. And although I've supported that connection over the years that I have served this congregation, I came back from my visit to the Philippines last summer with a new understanding of the sacredness and the significance of our commitment to one another. It's a perspective that I wasn't sure that I'd witnessed before I traveled there. And it's one that I struggle to describe to you now, 6 months after returning. And I promised myself I would go there with an open mind and get my feel for the relationship without any expectations. But what I wasn't prepared for was my experience of the incredible respect and gratitude for our visit. A love that was evident in every family, all of those happy and respectful children. The devotion that every family has to our UU faith. And I found out the hard way that I had a lot of expectations after all. And I'm even a bit hesitant to admit it now or share this with you, but I found that my expectations to see need and to see lack needed to change. But I come to you today to share my awe for their lives of compassion and principle, the closeness of family and their willingness to serve one another, the incredible capacity that they have to make their lives meaningful and full of purpose for their family, for their community, and for their love for their God. Traveling those 7,300 miles to experience this cultural immersion in July with Julie and with Jim taught me the great value of our relationship. It's a partnership that touches into the lives of young children and stays with them year after year, continuing to support them as they grow, to embrace their education, to create a better life, and to deepen their faith in ways that would not be possible without our partnership. And all of the ways I was so deeply moved along the path of our visit, I saw firsthand the gifts that this partnership has for us as well. To know that we opened the way for higher education for every young person who seeks it. To know that we continue to honor our relationship as a faith community that has a deep regard for one another with life-enhancing impact for all of us. And to know that we are really not a greater Los Angeles or SoCal UU congregation that happens to have a partnership committee. We are a partnership congregation. It has a supportive, thriving relationship with an incredible community of Filipino Unitarian Universalists on the other side of the world. And sharing those 12 days alongside our Calapayan partners was eye-opening and heart-opening. They are a brave and hardworking people who love this faith that we share. And we are very fortunate to be in partnership with them and honored to support the education of their children and young adults. And it is our honor and our commitment to this partnership that will bring both congregations the blessing of relationship. May it be so. I invite you to stand for our sending song. It will be a video. It's written by Toribio Kumara. Say that again? Oh, there's no audio on the video. No audio on the video. I picked song number 182. Can we just... Does everyone have a hymnal in there? No one has hymnals. Do you have the lyrics? Oh no, there's no lyrics because it was a video. Some folks have hymnals. It's number 182 in our hymnal, and it was written by Rebecca's dad many, many years ago. It's a beautiful song. You can have Lily play it. I'm sorry we don't have the lyrics for the screen because it was a video. Today just continues to challenge us, doesn't it? But thank you. If you look in your emails, you will see there's a link to this song. There's a video that another congregation created when they sang it themselves. It was actually a COVID online choir that put this song together. So Lily, if you would just play it one verse through, and that'll be our closing song, and we'll have our benediction.
We've sung it every year. You may actually recognize
Yeah, it's a very familiar tune. It's a Filipino song. Today comes from the words of John O'Donohue. They are printed in your order of service, and I invite you to read along with me if you would. May there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so, may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak, to mind your life, and to fill it with the wisdom